they're here.
Who's moving in?
The movie people.
Coming March the 16th, Walt Disney Studios, a new theme park at Disneyland Resort Paris.
Say, who wants to go meet the new neighbors?
Come live the magic of cinema. Walt Disney Studios at Disneyland Resort Paris.
The Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris has been a disaster ever since it opened in 2002. Heavily inspired by Disney's MGM Studios, the park revolved around the concept of giving guests a behind-the-scenes look into the making of movies. However, by 2002, the glamour of the movie studio-style theme park had already started to wear off. MGM Studios had suffered many issues since it opened, and in Florida, Disney had already shifted back toward building a highly themed park with the opening of Animal Kingdom in 1998. But planning for a second park in Paris had begun in 1995, when Disney were yet to give up on the movie studio idea. A second gate in Paris was a contractual obligation agreed upon with the French government in the planning for the resort. However, by 1999, when plans for the second gate were revived, Disney had suffered from many financial difficulties in Paris, and their new Animal Kingdom park had gone way over budget. Therefore, Disney was more than a little hesitant to commit large sums of money to the construction of a second park in Paris. With a small budget and a park based on a theme already starting to die out, it now seems obvious that when construction started on the project in 2000, it was inevitable that the Walt Disney Studios Park would be a disaster. The magic of movie making, no matter which way you try to present it, seems to culminate in grey-walled soundstages, scaffolding, water pipes, and gas tanks. Therefore, when the park opened on the 16th of March 2002, it was far from a big hit. This left the park flailing for quite some time, and it wasn't until 2007 that any major expansion came to the park. Needless to say, this first expansion did not feel the need to faithfully follow the park's original theme. Crush's Coaster, an indoor spinning roller coaster, and Cars Race Rally were both added to Animation Courtyard. In addition to this, Production Courtyard grew in size with the introduction of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, the awesome new ride at Disneyland Resort Paris. Drop in, if you dare.
These new expansions drop the behind-the-scenes teaching in favour of immersion, although Crush's Coaster did still lean on the park's studio aesthetic to lazily keep its show building in plain sight. Tower of Terror, however, provided some much-needed interest to the park's skyline. These additions made it clear that after 5 years of trying, the park wasn't too committed to its original theme. Similar changes have also been the trend over at Hollywood Studios, which was of course originally MGM Studios, and it seems Disney as a brand have no desire to keep up the studio theme. Following this, new additions came in the way of bully-themed lands. 2010's Toy Story Playland and 2014's Ratatouille ride saw entirely immersive and well-themed areas come to the park for the very first time, as before this, such theming had really only been isolated to Tower of Terror and the inside of some other attractions. More recently, the park has also welcomed Avengers Campus, which, while I'm not too keen on this land and think it's pretty dull, is at least an improvement on unthemed sound stages. With all these slow and steady changes, the recent announcement regarding Paris's Walt Disney Studios Park comes as no surprise. The Walt Disney Studios Park is officially moving away from how it's done sound stages to immersive worlds, which will become the focus of the park's new identity and appear as realms that guests discover as they navigate deeper within the park. The park is planning on an expansion on a never-before-seen scale, and the introduction of an all-new visual identity, something which has been a long time coming. So, what exactly is this €2 billion expansion going to entail? Well, according to the company, a complete makeover of the Walt Disney Studios Park. But just how much of a makeover is this actually? When World of Frozen opens, the park will be renamed Disney Adventure World. World of Frozen is going to take guests on a journey to the Kingdom of Arendelle, with its colourful facades and remarkable North Mountain. The land will be located on the edge of Adventure Bay, a 70,000 cubic metre body of water, surrounded by picturesque banks and a promenade, serving as a gateway to the new themed universes that will surround it. More than a scenic icon, Adventure Bay will serve as a unique entertainment stage, with a 360-degree viewing area. It will be fitted with the latest technologies to provide exciting water-based entertainment, complete with fountains, music, lights, and special effects that are sure to delight guests. With this also comes Adventure Way, a promenade surrounded by themed gardens and fit with the Regal View restaurant and Ray Pont's Tangled Spin, a Tangled-inspired flat ride. The Frozen Land, just like Avengers Campus and the Pixar areas, is going to transport us into an entirely different world. So, losing the studio name with this makes sense, as the majority of the park will be taken up by non-studio themed lands. Adventure Bay and all that comes with it does feel like something fit for a totally different park than what we have now. So, with this, the name change fits. This huge change to the park's identity seems to suggest the park will be totally abandoning the studio theme, but this isn't completely true. Much of this is going to remain in what we already have today. So, what exactly is going to change here, and what will the rest of the park look like? Well, let's start with the front of the park. The park currently opens with the front lot, based on Disney's Hyperion Studio, which existed from 1926 until 1940. This area is an homage to the early beginnings of the Walt Disney Studio. Honestly, of all the areas in the park, I'd say this is the one with the least issues, but that's not excluding it from the new changes. The area is now going to become a representation of all the studios that are a part of Disney. After passing through the turnstiles, guests will be transported into a vibrant, contemporary open-air movie studio. The time frame is today, and the change will be indicated through new music, cast costumes, and graphics. Architecturally, little is really changing, and it seems this roof theme is just a bit of an excuse to stick modern IP in. But if this is the entrance needed to allow the park to house the impressive IP lands planned, I guess that's fine, and maybe it is a little bit more cohesive. Arguably, one of the most hated theme park areas in the world is Studio One. This indoor passageway is often compared to a mall food court, largely thanks to the fact that most of it is taken up with a quick service restaurant, and the rest of it shares this fried food smell. This area is changing to become world premiere, but unfortunately, the indoor setting is remaining. To bring this all-new immersive experience to life, the interior decor of the soundstage will be replaced with more intricately crafted decor that pays homage to historic movie theaters in Hollywood. The Hollywood Garden Restaurant will host a garden party for a world premiere celebration, and the Grand Disney Movie Palace, reminiscent of 1940s movie theater facades, will be the boulevard icon. This new change will see many of the current fake facades replaced with realistic decors and new thematic details. Therefore, on the surface, it's certainly going to look better. But many of the issues present today don't seem to be being solved. The disruptive and sometimes chaotic nature of funneling all park guests inside to either leave or enter the park remains, and it doesn't seem that the fast food smells will be going anywhere. Further on, Production Courtyard is set to become World Premiere Plaza, which is Broadway and West End inspired. With no structural changes, this again feels kind of lazy, but the addition of Art Deco inspired decor and brightly lit Broadway inspired signs is an improvement on the total lack of theming that is present today. Then, Hollywood Boulevard is keeping its theme, but moving into the specific timeline theme of the golden age of Hollywood. This is a perfect fit for Tower of Terror's storyline, but the constant timeline switching of each land does feel like it could potentially be a bit disruptive. There are no clear indicators of where one decade ends and another begins, which might end up making the hodgepodge of time settings feel a bit confusing, but if done well, it could of course work. Overall, these changes do feel rather surface level, and nothing on the scale of what we saw with California Adventure back in 2012. There are some big positives, such as the movie palace facade and the more detailed theming, plus, of course, the abandoning of the behind-the-scenes narrative. But just how abandoned really is this? The structure of the behind-the-scenes sound stages is still there. Therefore, the change of theme to celebratory theatres and immersive worlds is quite cheap and surface level. Even the theming planned for the fantasy areas is pretty bland compared to what Disney have done elsewhere. Adventure Way looks sparse with no rockwork or new structures. The planned Tangled ride here is cute, but it's hard not to compare to what we're seeing arrive in Tokyo's Fantasy Springs, even if these parks are admittedly working with completely different budgets. Plus, as already mentioned, the new timeline is disjointed and erases the timeless old Hollywood nostalgia aspect. By sticking so much to the Hollywood theme, it even calls into question just how much the park's name change is needed. Truly, the park feels a bit like it's going to be split into two halves: the good new stuff and the kind of lazily changed old stuff. But you let me know, what do you think? Do you think this rebranding is enough? Or do you think the park is still going to be a bit of a mess? To be completely honest, there's not tons of information to go off of just yet, but what we have seen does make me feel ever so slightly skeptical. But either way, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos and the links in the description.